Go time. Day 52 of the year of streaming and learning to code. Let's just dive right into it, shall we? We have left off out of OBS. We have left off 66% of the way through Python. We are 2/3 of the way through this beast. We are on, what is it, section 8? 7? Section 8, loops. We did part 1 of, or section 1, activity 1, lesson 1. We did the first lesson yesterday for loops. Today we're probably just going to tackle practice makes perfect. I suppose we might take a peek at section 9. There is only 1 in there. Look at 10 more noise. We may do 2 lessons, probably just going to stick with the, where did my mouse go? Oh my god. We lost all contact with the mouse. I've been ignoring it. All right. Oh, let me see. Oh, great. And now I can't do that. E commands tab. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so we're going to take a gander. Batteries died. This is what I get for ignoring the low battery message for the last, like, 4 days. But that's alright. That is alright. Hey, little cat. Love you. Love you. Oh. Now what? And in the house key. Dum 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 dum. So, how goes life, right? No one was expecting dead batteries. Should have been expecting dead batteries. But that's okay. So, yeah, we've got, as we kill time, lefty, loosey, righty, tighty, right? There we go. There we go. She's free. Da-dum-dum, da-dum-dum. Ding, ding, ding. Alright. Which direction? Positive, negative, positive down, negative up. Dose. Hopefully. Is that battery acid? Nope. All good. All good in the hood. Lovely, lovely. And we'll just cinch that right back down. And we will be on our way exploring lesson 8. Alright, there's this. We'll hit power in just a second. Oh, little cat, are you on the sub? You are on the sub. What you doing down there? Yeah, good. I'm gonna put my feet there. So, no? Alright. You get to stay there for now. I'll cross my legs in the meantime. Oh, God! Getting old for that. Getting a little too old. That's okay. Here we go. We're good. Little kitty on the sub. Batteries in the trackpad. We are... Hopefully. Can you see that? No. And... Yep, battery's good. Fire away. Green light. Beautiful. Beautiful. And... there we go. There we go. Look at that. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Fully powered. And little kitty's moving. Right. So, before we got sidetracked, replacing said batteries, we're just going to dive into Lesson 8, Part 2. Lesson 8.2, one of those. Practice makes perfect. Little kitty, I hear you jumping. What are you doing? You're behind me? She's on that. Can you see? There's a feline back. Oh no, the pop filter's blocking it. That's fine. That's okay. She's just a cat. You've seen a cat, you've seen them all. Okay, there's only 11? 15. I don't know why I was thinking there were only 11 in today's. Hopefully we can somewhat power through this. Alright. Good. Good. That's good. Section 1. Practice, practice, practice. You stay there, little cat. We aren't even through the first section. No sabotage today. The best way to get good at anything is a lot of practice. This lesson is full of practice problems for you to work on. This section will contain minimal instructions to solve these problems. Instead, this section will help you work on taking your programming skills and applying them to real-life problems. The more challenging programs will contain some helpful hints to nudge you in the right direction. If you feel as you are completely lost, feel free to check out the Q&A section for help. The link is on the very bottom left of your screen. Click, hit, save, and submit to continue. Beautiful, beautiful. There is a dead piece of face on my lip. All right. We got that, though. We got it. What are we, what now? What? Save and submit? 1 of 15 down. Beautiful. Beautiful. Is even. Alright, let's get started. Remember how an even number is a number that is divisible by 2? Do you recall that, little cat? Is that a yes? Yeah, okay. We remember. 1. Define a function is even that will take a number x as input. If x is even, then return true. Otherwise, return false. The modulo, The modulo operation is useful for determining if one number is divisible by another. Make sure to return true instead of putting it. Alright. We be learning. Define function. Define is even. That's not right. Is even. Colon. That doesn't feel right. Define is even means an argument, then a colon. X is input. If x is divided by 2, modulo 2, and equals, is it just equals? Zero, or is it I think it's that. If x modulo 2 equals 0, then there's nothing left over. Then make sure to return true instead of printing it. Return true. Return true, else return false. It's not too bad, right? That feels okay. Boom. First try. High five, little cat. No? Maybe? Low five? Lower five. Kitty five? 2 fingers. No? Okay. You're a cat. You seem confused. Oh, but you love the scratches. Alright. Making progress. Making progress. Section 3. Is int. An integer is just a number without a decimal part. For instance, -17, 0, 42, all integers, but 98.6 is not. For the purpose of this lesson, we'll also say that a number with a decimal part is all zeros. What? For the purpose of this lesson, we'll say that a number with a decimal part that is all zeros is also an integer. So 7.0, not good enough for the, wait. It does qualify for the club. 7.0 is also an integer. So yeah, anything, if it has a point, it's an integer. Wait, no, wrong. Bad, Steven. Bad. An integer is just a number without a decimal part. -17 plus, I don't know why they have decimal part. Couldn't they have just said decimal point? Decimal part just sounds so wrong. Or like the decimal portion? No? Come on. That can't be the industry term. Decimal part? Ugh. Hey, Topher, how you doing? We're near the beginning. Apparently, it's 15 sections of confusion. Now, I know that sounds like most days, but apparently this is one of their low instruction lessons or minimal instruction lessons. So they're just kind of presenting general scenarios, minimal instructions, and we get to sort of figure it out on our own. I've made it through the first one pretty good. So yeah, now we're on to an integer issue. At the top, though, how's your evening going? Hopefully pretty good. This, what is it, Tuesday? Tuesday? No. Tuesday, February 21st. Or as we know it here, day 52. Now, where we were clearing up the confusion between integer and their use of integer part instead of, or decimal part instead of decimal point. From the top, though, an integer is just a number without a decimal part. For instance, -17, 0, and 42 are all integers, but 98.6 is not. For the purpose of this lesson, we'll also say that a number with a decimal part that is all zeros is also an integer, such as 7.0. This means that for this lesson, you can't just test the input to see if it's type of what? This means that for this lesson, you can't just test the input to see if it's of type int. Fun stuff, doing well. Glad to hear it. All right. If the difference between a number and that same number rounded down is greater than 0, what does that say about that particular number? I'm not sure what their goal of that question is. We're going to look at the instructions. 1. Define a function is int that takes a number x as an input. Have it return true if the number is an integer as defined above and false otherwise. For example, I think the webcam is partially blocking this, so we're gonna copy this and go boom. This is the example box from the instructions. Is integer 7.0 true? Is integer 7.5 false? Is integer -1? Interesting. Okay. Let's clear out that noise. And we get to start coding. So, define, instruction 1, define a function is int, x, colon, if, have it return true if a number is an integer, as defined above, false otherwise. If x is, no, if x, is it equals an integer? Although they said you can't just test the type of input. And I think you would do like, I thought there was like a type command or .type to verify that, but apparently we can't do that. If x, if x blah, return true, else return false. These lessons get a bit challenging. I don't want to just give the answer, so let me know if you need a lifeline. Of course, yeah, no. I'll reach out. Honestly, I'll probably end up checking the forums if I give up, and if I can't find anything in the forums, then I'll probably reach out. If you get tired of watching me squirm, then, you know, free to shout out, but I'm fairly resilient. So, we've got a high threshold for frustration. Now we've made it all the way to day 52 with knowing nothing. Alright, so define isn't x. If x equals blank, I almost want to see how this flies. I want to see what error code it gives me. Maybe we can backtrack. Oh, well, it would help if we did the right formatting, colon. Okay, your function fails on isn't -2. It returns false when it should return true. Oh, no, if x. Okay. Let's take a look at is int. Alright, is int. Import math. Nah, that's not fun. Define isn't x. If x is integer, they got the same thing with is when I used equals. The introduction says not to use int here. Clearly, I did that, so that's wrong. The key is in the last paragraph before the instructions. So either it should give false if x integer x is greater than 0, or x integer is less than 0. Or this should give, I tested both and it works. X integer x. Well, we are not allowed to use integer in this lesson. We can still check if it's a float or not by rounding it. Aha! So it's the rounding aspect, which is where her suggestion was coming in. And that's why they were rambling about the rounding. If the difference between a number and that same number rounded down is greater than 0, what does that say about a particular number? Fascinating. Okay, so this is the math or the madness behind that. See that little kitty? No, hey, yeah, wake up. Actually, you keep sleeping. It's better that you don't get involved. Okay. I use the following, which seemed to work based off the idea that if a number divided by 1 without any remainder has to be a whole number. That's interesting too. That actually seems like an easier code to implement. Now, yeah, let's return false. I understand I can get both from this. So Zenolith is, I think he stole it. I like Zenolith's mindset. So if modulo 1 equals 0, which is this is also extremely similar to what we just did in lesson 2. See? Because we had define is even, blah, x modulo 2 equals 0. So it's basically the exact same thing, but with a 1. So if we can divide it by itself and it equals 0, then we're golden. Very clever, Zenolith. A hat tip to you, good sir. So, modulo 1 equals z, for our British friends out there. Don't you have to call the function as well? I am not too sure. In a real world situation, obviously I don't think anyone would just be creating a function that they wouldn't actually be utilizing, but given that it's just a simple codecademy activity, I think they're just looking for the function itself more so than having, defining x equals whatever, blah, right? So that's that. But we'll see. If they shoot me down, boom, green check marks. For this case, no. All right, ephemeral, what up? Not in these exercises. The function is run through a group of tests. Yeah, good times. Good times. All right. Section 4 of 15. Right? 15? Yeah, 15. Making progress. Slowly, but we're getting there. Digit sum. Awesome. Now let's try something a little trickier. Try something the digits of a number. Not something summing, you big, dumb, stupid. Okay, try summing the digits of a number. Write a function called digit sum that takes a positive integer, n, as an input and returns the sum of that number's digits. For example, digit sum 1, 2, 3, 4 should return 10, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we've done similar stuff to this before. We know what we're gonna do. 1 to 10 and back, or 1 to 10 and back down to 1. Assume that the number you are given will always be positive. Hint, if you need help, we're going to take a holy God, it's a novel. Jesus. We'll see what they have to say. One way might be to convert the integer to a string with string, divide it up, turn the substrings back into integers with int to do the addition. This already sounds like a terrible plan. If you're looking for a challenge, try this. To get the rightmost digit of a number, you can modulo the number by 10. To remove the rightmost digit, you can floor divide 2 slashes the number by 10. Don't worry if you're not familiar with floor division. You can look up the documentation here. Remember, this is a challenge. Try working this into a pattern to isolate all the digits and add them to a total. Oh, this is going to get super ugly. Okay. Who's excited? Not me. Write a function called digit sum that takes a positive integer n. Okay, so we've got define digit sum that takes a, what are we looking? Takes a positive integer n as input and returns the sum of that number's digits. We've got our trusty colon. Okay, for example, digit sum 1, 2, 3, 4 should return 10, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Assume that the number you are given will always be positive, of course. Check the hint if you need help. Son of a... What's going down? Oh lord, don't do the modulo floor division route. That's gonna get ugly quick. Yeah, no, I just, this seems hellish right here. One way might to be convert integer to a string, divide it up, and turn the substrings back into integers with int to do the addition. Okay, I guess that seems like the easiest one. So we're gonna do n if Jesus. If n? That doesn't feel right. God, this already feels terrible. Something something string. What are we going to need to do? D. They're looking for a challenge. If one way might be to convert the integer, so we're going to take n and make it a string. So that would be n is a string. Divide it up and turn the substrings. To divide up the string, we would need to print it on each line. Print each integer, or print each integer on its own line. Jesus, and I'm forgetting how to print each maybe... I don't know if I actually need to print it. I don't think I need to print it to break it up. I could do return to retain it. Fuck. Return string. It will return n as a string, but we need it in pieces. We're gonna check. We're gonna check. What was it? It was digit sum. Digit sum, digit sum, dee 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 dee. Do 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 do. Digit sum, digit sum. The error I get is, okay, so x equals string, so we weren't quite right on it. Oh, and a for loop, of course. Wow, I really managed to block out all that for loop nonsense that we've been doing for the last, like, 3 or 4 days. I think that shows how painful it's been. Alright. So x equals string n. For I and all of x, that makes sense, but he's still getting, let's not trust him because he's still getting beef. Why exactly is he running into an issue? The error I get is oops, try again. The function fails on digit sum 434. When it returns 4, it should return 11, so assuming code breaks down the string. Add up the first, don't understand. Yeah, let's not look at that. This should come up before the loop. Total equals 0. Should be after the loop, but is intended to a degree to be part of the loop. Return total. It's any consolation, I got the return part for something. You know, there's that. Can you explain me why it's important the total comes outside the loop? This needs to be placed before the loop. The total starts out at 0 before the value of any digits get added to it. Furthermore, if that statement is placed within the loop, total gets repeatedly set back to 0 each time the loop iterates. What has previously been added to the total gets lost. Okay, so pro tip, total equals 0. We'll take a look at this next one. Ah, this dude's got total equals 0 before the for loop. So that's nice. Raw input, also good touch. And the append. Alright, so it makes sense. You know, looking back on the last 3-4 days, they're basically using all the tools we've learned. Return total. Beef, what's wrong with my code? Is it still bad? Something's up. Return total. The return is happening on the first iteration of the loop. Worse, though, is this. Raw input, any number, please. Yes, you don't need to. N is your function parameter given in the argument of the function call. That line effectively nullifies any utility this function may offer. This is meant to be a pure function in regards of what we can expect from it. Alright. So, definition, digit sum n, parameter code, return, print, argument. Okay, that's getting ugly. I think we can piece it together from here. For I in string n. Yeah, the two total plus integer I, total plus add number. We're gonna Frankenstein the out of this. We're going to grab you, copy, and we're going to grab you. Now, both of these are inherently wrong. Mine, clearly wrong. We did get the string end bit, and we've got the return bit, but that's not saying too much, so let's not be too proud of ourselves about that, because it's still pretty damn ugly. We're gonna do, x equals string. Do we really want that? For I in n. I think this, guys, is pretty decent. Copy. My concern is I don't think line 2 is actually necessary. The second example is going to hurt you more than it will help. I'm assuming we're talking about the second example I found, but since we're on this page, this is the second one currently, so maybe it's eliminate that one. Line 9 or line 20? 9 or 20, which one is more evil? I realize that's bad. That's also dumb. This is questionable. But I know I need the 4i in 20 through lines 20 through 28. 20 through 28 is bad. Bad juju. No. Death. That's all good. We'll just kill him and we'll struggle from here. Golden. This is already far better than where we were before. Well, at least where I was. So, define n. N is a string. I don't think I need to worry about that. So we have the 0 before, which means total and return go at the bottom. And we need to work on our spacing. We have a for loop. Total needs to go forward. Return needs to be under 4. Which leaves this. So I'm fairly confident with this bit here. It's that inversion. Oh, he's got x, 4x. Because these are just variables. X is n as a string, which is our input. If we're taking our input and we're turning it into a string, we will refer to our input as a string as x, which is why he has for everything I in x, I think that's just what I'm taking it, integer. The total is 0. We're going to add and then equals each input, integer, I, each input as an integer. I'm just reading out loud my understanding of it, which could very well be wrong, but that's what I've got for now. We're going to comment out this noise. And 1, 2, 3. What's going down? You're nearly there. Read the first paragraph of the hint again. One way might be to convert the integer to a string with string. Divide it up and turn the substrings back into integer with int to do the addition, which is basically what I think they've explained here. I just don't know if I have it set up correctly. But only one way to find out. Pull the trigger. Holy shit. It worked. I had to piece it together from the other dudes. And really, I think the only issue with his was the total at 0. But ideally, that worked. And my concern, again, obviously I want the code to be correct, but the bigger concern with me doing Codecademy or learning is understanding the concepts of that. I know there's a lot of rereading, but this is real-time learning for Steven, so that's what we're witnessing. All right. Factorial. All right, now we're cooking. Let's try a factorial problem. To calculate the factorial of a non-negative integer, x, just multiply all integers from 1 through x. For example, factorial 4 would equal 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 24. Factorial 1 would equal 1. Factorial 3 would equal 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. Define a function factorial that takes an integer x as an input, calculate and return the factorial of that number. Stuck, get a hint. This is going to be very similar to example 2 and 3. I think 4 and 5 are also going to be freakishly similar. Consider having factorial call itself when the input is 1. When your function could just return 1, otherwise it could return the number multiplied factorial n minus 1. Actually, maybe not. I guess it's a loop. I was thinking of a loop with a minus 1 involved, and I guess this kind of addresses that concern. So, note that mathematically factorial 0 is 1. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Define a function. Define factorial x calculate and return the factorial of that number. So we take 4 copy. This goes somewhere, I think. But aside from that, define factorial x. So if we had 4, it would multiply it by n minus 1, or x. So if we had x, it would then multiply it by x minus 1. I think this is where the n comes in their example. Four minus that. But somehow we need it to return. We need it to keep doing that. So it's going to loop. There's a for loop involved somewhere. for blank, usually I, in x, colon, we're going to take maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's where this comes in. We're just going to take the factorial n and then return. N would be a placeholder for the current number, the current value of x. Yeah, okay. This one's slightly unfair. They've not discussed recursion in any previous lessons. Yeah. I'll keep all my nasty comments to myself for now about the fairness. It's mainly the consistency factor. Dear God, of their instructions. It's like trying to learn coding via Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. There is minimal consistency and only a portion, and when there is consistency, it's barely coherent. But that's alright. It's a good. Thriving in a harsh environment is an important thing. It will either produce sink or swim type results. So we're either gonna walk out of here alive with a great understanding or just be infinitely more confused, which isn't much different than not knowing anything at all. Love that ride. Exactly. I love that ride. Who doesn't love that? Well, probably little kitty. She's more of a napper, but eh. Alright, let's take this. Copy. Eve. Maybe I can do that. Is it I? Maybe I should do n. For I in x. I feel like I'm so close. I feel like it's either n times n, like 4 for n in x, or for I, and then for I times n. I just don't see exactly why. Let's see what error I get. I feel like it needs to return something. I feel like after all is said and done, it should be returning, you know, blah, x. It should be returning the sum of. Should be returning the sum of. My kids hated every moment of that ride, but they're still that young. You either need a loop or to call factorial inside itself, both. Oh, so I'm doubling up on it. Calling a factorial in itself is called recursion. I'm a recursion-y kind of guy. That's so that means I can probably get rid of. Wait, if factorial is doing all the heavy lifting, then why the hell do I have the for loop? N factorial that times that. Sum of n? I don't know. That just feels wrong. Return sum. Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. Factorial 1 resulted in an error. if you're going to do recursion, you must have a condition in the function to stop it from calling itself an infinite number of times. Ew. Maybe I'll stick to the for loop. Let's do some backing up. So maybe we can just do n for I in, is it, no, x. Death. Close. Factorial. Hold on. If I compare my dumb guesses to some of his dumb guesses that are better than mine, I should be able to piece it together. 5 factorial. Do. My code works. However, a question regarding while statements. Nice. And factorial, 2 different solutions. That sounds confusing. They're in my boat. So what's this cat doing? My code works, however, believe my code should also include an else statement, which outputs 1 in the case of x being 1 or 0. I think they did mention that, but I think they were just going over that mathematical concept, not necessarily that it needed to be part of the code. But I could be wrong. Define factorial x. Total, oh, that's right, we had the total equals 0 in the last one before the loop. Interesting. Okay. So total equals x. I don't like that, but that's fine. I wonder why it's not 0. While x... Oh, and it keeps running. While x is greater than 1, x will continue to subtract 1. Total will then equal total times x every time it runs. So you've got the total, the main number, and then it keeps trickling down from there, and it will return the total itself. Place this at the beginning of the function. If x is less than 1, return 1. And that would go before the while loop. No, place this at the at the beginning of the function. Even before total? We'll take a look at the second one. I think that guy's mostly correct. I mean, his code did work. Just trying to zero in on the understanding of it. I don't recall what ABS is, so we're not going to do that. Wow, this is a deep thread. Let's back off of that. Let's go with this dude's. Return 1. So copy you, and we'll compare and adapt as needed. Now, he was saying, or someone was saying, place this at the beginning of the function. That would indicate right at the beginning. But why do we want to do that? Currently, we have this. Let's build another little nest right beneath. Define factorial. if x, oh god, if x is less than 1, return 1. While I think total x needs to go above the if statement. Just seems wrong floating there in this scenario. It's possible, it's fine. If x, while this, x blah blah, return total. Also, I wonder why they have, I know they have plus equals total, which we were using before, or even minus equals. I wonder why they aren't doing multiply equals and then getting rid of this bit. But we'll see how this we'll see how this goes. So dum 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 dum. So that worked with that, but I also want to check if total also works down here. And that works there too. To define factorial, we've got x. If x is less than 1, then it will return 1. We're going to have our total equal x. Well, x is greater than 1, we'll take x and it will continue subtract, oh god, it will continue to subtract 1 from it. The total will get multiplied each time x goes down 1, and that's going to return that total for us. Can I show you the recursive way? Yeah, go for it. I don't remember what I had. There was the 4, like 4I in x, something about a colon, and then I had factorial or other, and there was somebody being multiplied by that, and it was just bad times for everybody, right? I know this is sort of the crux that was causing the potential. Define factorial x. X equals 0, return 1. Else. Define factorial x. If x equals 0. Turn 1, else return x multiplied factorial x1. Well, that looks way cleaner than what I've got. That's for damn sure. Let me do... Pretty sure that's right. Define factorial x colon if x equals 0 colon return 1 else return x multiplied factorial x1. Save and submit. Wait, hold on. Oh, is that I did something. Factorial 1 resulted in an error. Bulb name x is not defined. That was me? Oh, is it because I changed it to the n? Be safe, it would actually be better to say if x less 1 now that I think about it, because if it's a negative integer or passed to the function, it would never end. Interesting. X less than 1. Oh, and look at me. I'm that guy. I put a capital X instead of a lowercase x. Son of a... Oh, yeah, and you noticed it too. You capitalize X in the function. Yes, good, good. Everyone's on the same page now. Alright. Save and submit. Ta-da! Yeah, that's a lot cleaner than this. And if it helps, although I was going through and reading out loud all that stuff, still confused. Yours actually makes sense. Conceptually, I get that. This visually makes sense in my mind. So that's good. In fact, we're gonna copy you just for fun. You understand what's happening with the recursive method, correct? From this, at least I think, from what I believe, so define factorial x. If x is less than 1, it'll spit out 1. So 0 or a negative number, it'll just spit out that. However, a positive number greater than that, 1, 2, 29, 7041, whatever it be, we're going to take x, and then we're going to multiply it, and this factorial is already, that is a thing, a mechanism, I forget the exact term, but it will continue to do that, where you take the number and subtract 1, and it will repeat. Take the number, subtract 1, and it will continue to do all of that. I thought we needed to code what factorial did. I thought this was just another function, like calling it, you know, penguin or something. But this, that won't work. Factorial is an actual thing. Factorial, that'll actually get us somewhere. This does something, and I didn't realize that. So yeah, good times, but this is, well, minus the return. The return is important, but this is doing all the heavy lifting. Factorializing it. That's probably not a word, but we're going to stick with it for now. So, save and submit. Beautiful, beautiful. Factorial, it's calling itself. Beautifully said. Okay. Is prime. A prime number is a positive integer greater than 1 that has no positive divisors other than 1 in itself. Boy, that's a mouthful. In other words, if you want to test if a number in a variable x is prime, then no other number should go into x evenly besides 1 and x. So 2 and 5 and 11 are all prime, but 4, 18, and 21 are not. If there's a number between 1 and x that goes evenly, x is not prime. Define a function called isPrime, takes a number x as input. For each number x, from 2 to x minus 1, or to x through 1, I'm not sure how they're trying to convey that little bit right there. Test if x is evenly divisible by n. If it is, return false. If none of them are, then return true. Hint, remember all the numbers less than 2 are not prime. Remember, all numbers less than 2 are not prime numbers. All numbers less than 2 are not prime numbers. Interesting. I feel like that's oddly worded. Not sure what they're trying to say. Okay. So, define a function called isPrime. Define is prime. Recalling it on X for each number. Actually, we don't need, that's not a for loop. Well, we might be utilizing a loop. For each number n from 2 x minus 1, if x is evenly divisible by n, it returns false. Remember, 1 and 0 are not prime numbers. Oh, is that all they're trying to say? All numbers less than 2 are not prime numbers. Okay. Good to know. Alright. So, from there, we were doing... Don't mind me. Placeholder, something, returns... false, and something else. Be if. Okay. We've got our basic structure. We've remembered the colon for our if. Don't mind me, hold on. Crises averted. All right, we're back. We're back. Sorry for the delay. Food fiascos and such. Okay. We were right there. We have a cat now, too. Here's a cat. All is well in the world, hopefully. We were defining something. I forget. Positive numbers. In other words, if you want to test if a number is a variable x, then no other number should go into it evenly besides 1. So if something divided by if x divided by does not equal zero, if x divided by x does not equal 0, then return false. That can't be right. That doesn't feel right. Your function crashed because you were trying to divide modulo by 0. There we go. No. Still doesn't like me. Close, close, close. Conceptually, I feel like we're right on the edge. Cat, you are in the way. Side note. No, not side note. Not just yet. This is prime is prime versus is ribeye. Get it? That's a steak joke. Prime rib versus ribeye or T-bone. No? It's okay to not laugh at those. I was the person in school who laughed and appreciated the teacher humor. You know, the awful jokes that teachers do. I don't know what I thought those jokes were so great, mainly because they were so painful to listen to. It was more of the shock value that really stood out to me. They were shockingly terrible. And that just felt right. Prime something or other. The phone call threw us off. That's what happened. Is prime. Ooh, a lock and a check. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Let's do this. So if x is greater than 2, return false. Else, n in range 2 all the way to x. Okay. So again, this is avoiding 0 and 1. We're starting looking at 2 and on all the way to whatever number we put in, x beyond 2. If x modulo n equals 0, then return false, otherwise return true. That's interesting. This is clearly the right answer. Although, if x is less than 2, are you certain this is the condition you want? You should return true after the loop has finished running. Currently, your loop would return true if true in the first iteration. Guess something, not guessing, is greater than 2. Looks right. Do you understand it? God, I hope so. Is there a difference between this and the other one? Perfect sense. Okay, so we've got, I think it's the greater than versus greater than or equal to. Is there a reason we wouldn't want greater than or equal to versus? I feel silly. I misread the instructions. I think I have it right. Is this more proper? Thank you so much for the help. This looks right. So let's compare this to my terrible concoction. Def is prime x, correct. We got the if part and the colon, and we were trying to figure out how to not make it equal to 0 or 1. I think we got confused. I think I was trying to do this, the else portion. Up here, which was wrong. We were focusing on it not being the last. We're trying to establish this. Is that one? Oh no, we were trying to establish the hint. All numbers less than 2 are not prime numbers. So we're trying to eliminate all the numbers that are less than 2. That's what this one does. It will return false. Else, for n in range to away whatever number we input, x divided by n will equal 0. That will return false, otherwise it will return true. Let's clear out my abomination that we had. Save and submit. Beautifully done. Now, copy. This is a race against the clock. There are others heading towards the household. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish all 15 sections. Reverse. But we're going to see how far we can get in the meantime. Reverse. Great work so far. Let's practice writing some functions that work with strings. Define a function called reverse that takes a string text and returns the string in reverse. For example, reverse ABCD should return DCBA. This is like Factorial. Reverse is an actual command. It will do that. You may not use reversed or ::(-1) to help you with this. You may get a string containing special characters, for example. Exclamation at or hashtag. Consider how you would loop through text, starting from the last character through the first character. So we're not allowed to use reverse. It's slightly confusing. Define a function. Define reverse text I don't know if it's a sign of me or of Codecademy. I feel like each of these I should inherently know the answer. Perhaps not, but I feel like after 52 days of coding that there should be a little bit more there. My gut reaction right now is to use, what is it? Index? Not index. To reference the index number. So, like, text equals, you know, whatever the string is. What's a fun word? No fun. It's not exactly exhilarating, but we're gonna do California. California. Right? Right. There's enough letters and variation going on in there. So that's just to help visualize. I feel like, so index, if I were to do, that's the other thing, is that it's a string. Text. Similar to print. Again, what I'm highlighting right now is not the code that I'm going to type here. The if blah whatever return stuff. No. We'll get there. Right now is I'm explaining my concern for why I don't immediately have the answer. After 52 days, I feel like I should at least have some skill set to quickly call the answer or figure out what to do. But right now, all that's occurring is thinking through of just the different things they've taught us. So, like, now I want to do, what is it, the index to bring up 0. Like, I don't even know how to call it up. But I know it's not index, but blank 0. Actually, I think it would be text. Cat, you're in the way. Text 0, your face, I love you. Like, that would bring up C. Or if I were to do, I'm pretty sure that would be, yeah, this. There we go. That looks familiar. Copy. That would bring up C for California. So I feel like it has to do something, or intuitively, I want to start slicing them. Stuff like that. 2 and all that stuff, or however many letters are in California, 9, 11. That I'm just venting. That's where I'm at mentally. So, point being, I know it's still free, but I feel like there should be better quality answers coming to mine after 52 days. And I don't know if that's just me, or I get the feeling that it's probably Codecademy. So, looking at the chat, text equals California is a list with a string in it. Text California is a string. Yes, and got that. And that's why I added, that's why I did the what's it called? The little brackety things. But I'm drawing a blank, because the last, again, I'm going off the examples that I remember. I can't recall if it still worked with when it's just a string, or if it only works with lists. I think it works with lists and strings. But for when it's a string, I can't remember. I think it was just parentheses for a string. But despite that, this is where my mind is going to try and solve this. I know I need to do the proper if-else stuff, but that's that. Little bit of insight into my confusion. It's not just you. Every single person learning to code goes through what you're experiencing right now. Well, that's comforting. Hear that, little cat? Not just me. The two of us. You've been napping. I've been struggling, but it's all part of the fun. Okay. That is good to know. Alright. So let's get rid of that noise. Take a good hard look at what they're actually asking in the instructions. Define a function called reverse, gotcha, that takes a string text. They probably already have text defined, but to help me visualize, we're going to leave that there. We'll even leave California back in there. California. Oh, that's not right. There we go. Okay. Your tail is just swinging all over my fingers and on the keyboard. It makes typing really hard and confusing. You're adorable, but extremely difficult. I'm actually going to take a photo because you're a cat. But yeah, there. This is what I'm dealing with. Right. Beautiful. One more. Yeah, smile for the camera. You're a cat. Boom. Golden. Can we see this? Can we see the cat? We need to bump the brightness now. Oh, yeah, that's... There we go. That's her. That is little kitty. So her tail is flicking all over the keyboard, and I'm trying to type between her tail moving. Yeah, not easy. Not for the faint of heart. Okay, back to reality, back to coding. You got the stomach flu? Oh, not cool, man. That sucks. Should have got a cat. I don't actually think that's the solution. Should have quarantined them. No bueno. How long did they have? How long are you due to have the stomach flu for? Were they sick for like a week or just a day or two? Hey, oh, that's right. You've got 3 cats too. You're in the same hell I am. Fantastic. Although I only have the 3 cats. I don't have the multiple children with the stomach flu. That's an exclusively you thing. All right. It seemed like 24-hour thing. Well, best of luck for the next 24 hours to you. Okay. You keep your tail there, and I won't cut it off and turn you into violin strings. How about that? Yeah, this table's quickly turning into something angry, right? Okay. Define reverse text. This is just an example. They already have text established somewhere else. For example, reverse ABCD should return that. You may not use reversed or blank to help you with this. You may get a string containing special characters. Consider how you would loop through text starting from the last character. Or little kitty, your tail. Seriously, you're not going to have it that much longer. Why? I want to be so angry at you, but you're sleeping, so it's like I'm talking to a wall. You can't even process that I'm cranky at you right now. Okay, 4i in text. Maybe? 4i in text. It will loop through text from... You're sniffing the web camera? Don't you have toys to play with or something to do? You're extremely distracting. I just want to look at the forum and get this over with. Of this little kid. What's that? Go to the bed. Can't believe that actually worked. Well, close enough. She made it to the light. Practice makes perfect. 7, reverse. Why would they tell us that reverse exists and we can't use it? In what real-world scenario are you not allowed to use reverse? This is like the opposite of when they teach you math in school. You know, when they teach you math in school, it's like you can't subtract negative numbers or whatever other, you can't divide by negative numbers or whatever crap they tell you. And then the following year, they show you the cool trick that you are able to do this. And then they introduce new things, or new rules that they tell you can't do, even though in the following year, you learn additional tools that make it easier. Here, it's like the opposite. They go, hey, there's this really easy way to do it. We're not going to do that, though. Let's learn the hard way. And I don't know why they're doing that. We were at reverse. Close. Reverse oversimplified. Fuck yeah. You and me both. Reverse. I have no idea what code errors. I don't even know what to type, frankly. I want to slice the word from the last letter. So from, like, I don't know, X? I don't even know how to reference it. Like learning to program your own calculator in C or C++ without using plus, minus. Oh. Hey, where's a good place to learn C or C++ or even C#? Because I've looked at a handful. Codecademy isn't the first place that I looked at, but each coding place shows what languages they go over, and it just seems like not a lot of coding websites teach C# or C++ or anything like that. I don't know if it's just too hard to like learn outside of school, but I don't know. Something I've noticed. Some questions have too many answers, and I've spent too few hours trying to simplify this problem, and this is the best I can do. Is there a flaw in this? Reverse text. In text is something. For letters in text, we got the loop part. Text plus letters, return end text. Your solution is fine. However, it would be more efficient to store the characters in a list within the for loop rather than concatenate them into a string and then use the join method after the loop to combine them. I don't like that plan either. It's the same. That's different. Find reverse n in range. Length. Text. -1, -1, -1. Print reverse Python. You need inline because you need to return the reverse string. Where did you place? I don't know what the hell Kata is. Define reverse text. Cada. Oh, Cada's their text string list that they're referring to. Append. All right, I'm going to take these two and we're going to butcher them together. Learn cpp.com. I used a while loop. Ew. Copy. You used a while loop. Copy. Okay, so mental note for me. All right. Also, section 6. Here we go. Here we go. Why doesn't it have all the shit that I carried over? Son of a... I know that's not necessary. Copy. That's not necessary. And copy. Nor is this. All right. Define. I used a while loop. There are many ways to solve this challenge. Doesn't Kata mean challenge in Japanese or something? Person? Not even close. I have no idea. I just saw that's what they had in their example. But it keeps coming up. They're joining to it and returning and appending stuff. Define reverse text. Okay. N text. 4 letters in text. N text equals letter plus N text. Return N text. I don't really know where they're going with that. I'm sure it works or it runs. Not really seeing it. Define reverse text for N in range. The length of text -1, -1, -1. Not sure what's going on here. I can kind of see where they're going with the range and referencing the text. Maybe if there was a -1 or like stepping back a letter each time. I can see that. Take the word and append the N, the last bit, the integer, the end of text, the end of the phrase. We're going to print it. Do we need to use dot join, or can we just do the comma at the end of print to get it to print next to it? Oh, we need dot join to actually put the letters together with no space. I'm pretty sure the print with the comma does whatever the character, space, prints a character, space, prints a character. Data means word in Indonesian, so I suppose that makes sense. Be interested to know how that first one works too. Not really sure. Seems like next N text would just be overwritten every loop iteration. 4-letter in text, N text. Does N text like call the last letter, but it just keeps adding on to itself because it's got plus letter? Have I just not learned about what n-letter n-text is? Perhaps. Never know. Oh, we were so close. So I felt like we were making progress. Like I can visualize what this is producing and doing easier than I can see what this is doing. So for n in range length text, subtract 1 character, we'll call it. We have our word dot append text n. And each time it prints, it should go back 1 letter. Even though it'll be printing forward, it should print in reverse, which is what we want. So I can kind of see that. Oh, and we didn't have a while loop. I thought I went back to 6 because I thought I used a while loop in here. We didn't. I'm gonna comment this out. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I can just delete that, but 1, 2, 3. Alright, said people have arrived home, which means this is probably going to be the last one, if I can make it out of this alive. Let me comment this out too. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't know what Kada is. I kind of want to see what happens when we run this. Does not like it. It does print out Python in reverse. I'm going to clear out this though, because I feel like that's cutting to the chase. Your function falls on reverse Python. It returns CBA exclamation NO Python when it should return Python exclamation. Don't know what Kada is. We're going to do text. Text. Fire away. Your code looks a bit off. It threw a string object that has no attribute append error. Check the hint if you need help. I don't know what the multiple subtraction things is. I feel like a bull in a china shop right now. It looks a bit off, fair enough. Define reverse text. For n in range length text, subtract 1 text dot append text end print join text return text. Doesn't like any of this. I've got nothing. Topher, if you're out there, let me know. I think this is going to be the last section for tonight. This is painful. Seems like... oh, yeah, good. Oh, let me the other one. Maybe this dude got it right. How does that work? How does that work? Define reverse text. Okay. End text. I don't know what end text is. I take it it's a variable, but I'm not sure. I mean, this worked, but I just don't really see what is end text. I think that's what I need help with. This makes sense, but I don't get what end text is. Do we know what end text is? Like, could I replace end text with I text? Like, this is the factorial issue that I was having all over again. I didn't know factorial was a command, or whatever the proper term is. That's how I see it right now. Day 52, Factorial is a command. So is ntext just a variable? Ntext is a variable. Okay, that's what it is. And right as you wrote it. Same thing. Ntext is a variable. It's an empty string defined at the beginning of the function. Okay. So that's all it is. So if that's the case, then I want to do x and that'll help visualize. At least that helps visualize for me. Define reverse text. X equals blank, so whatever we throw in. For letter in text, x equals the letter plus x, and it will return x. All right, fair enough. We're gonna click on the next lesson, and then we're gonna call it quits here. I need to do other things in the meantime. Now that other humans have made it into the household. Topher, thank you again for sticking out, helping out. Always appreciate it. Let me back out, see where we stand. Just a second. Okay. I overcomplicated. That's actually really smart. I overcomplicated my solution. Ah. Gotcha. I was just trying to figure out any solution, so that was perfect for me. Where do we stand points-wise? 580 points for the end of day 52. Tomorrow, day 53, more pain, which will probably just be finishing out the rest of the section we weren't able to complete today. But that is okay with me. Progress is still progress. And with that said, we are closing out of the stream. Topher, you rock. I'm certain I'll see you around. And that's it for day 52. Stop stream. Are you sure you want to stop? Hell yeah. Kill it.